All right, a rare evening update from me because we do have this system that's moving through the Great Lakes and into the Northeast. That's going to bring some snow heading into your Wednesday, especially into Wednesday night and Thursday into parts of the Northeast. And behind this, winds will really pick up. We're going to see some lake effect snow, and some of it could get heavy still. We're also still looking at a lot of cold air, and I don't think there's going to be an end to winter. You may hear folks saying, oh, there's not going to be a winter. Winter's over after this. It's not over. It's just December, guys. We've still got a long way to go. Just breathe. Eventually, spring will come if you hate winter. If you love winter, I do want to tell you, though, something that I find interesting. There's definitely more sea ice here across the Arctic Ocean compared to last year, and we are definitely feeling that cold here all the way down into Florida, where we are going to be a good 10 to 20 degrees below average early Wednesday morning. There will be a bit of a warming trend on Wednesday. I mean, we'll get back up into the 40s and 50s here across the south, but cold here in interior areas of the Northeast. And here comes your next shot of cold. It's going to build into Chicago. Enjoy the warmth while it lasts. We're back in the teens and arguably maybe even the single digits heading into early Thursday morning as this cold air just pushes into the south. A little bit warmer here. It's being influenced by the water here, warming up. Some of that heat that's really in the water is being released into the atmosphere. So it's modifying that Arctic air as it moves south. It's also picking up some moisture. You're getting some condensation, which is also an atmospheric warming process. So a little bit warmer around the Great Lakes just because of the water, but there's your cold Arctic dry air building into the Ohio Valley with temperatures not getting out of the 20s, even down into Kentucky heading into Thursday. This is going to be a cold day heading into Thursday afternoon. Parts of the mountains here may not get out of the teens. Very chilly. And then that cold air continues to bleed south as we head into Friday, early Friday morning, near or below freezing across South Georgia, even over along the coast, the panhandle of Florida, possibly down into the 30s, maybe even close to freezing in some areas. And then a bit of a warm up, though, as we head toward the weekend, which we're going to look at that as we move along. Across the Central Plains states, it's going to be a little bit warmer here, but there comes that cold dropping in from the north with temperatures dropping a good 10 to 20 degrees below average. Now, let's look at where we are right now. A decent trough moving through. This is going to be your system that moves through the Great Lakes in the Northeast, bringing some snow. Your ridge across the west starts to break down with this piece of energy that's diving in. This is going to bring rain and snow here to the northwest. We're also watching this piece of energy. So now two areas to watch, here and here. Now, the problem with putting a forecast together based on these two pieces of energy is that this energy is still way back here, southwest of Alaska, and this one here is just sitting across really the far southwest. So we are getting good samples of it with weather balloons. We kind of know what's going on with the atmosphere here. We're going to know how strong the ridge is, but we don't really know exactly what's going on out here in the ocean. So I think until we really get this thing ashore right about here, sometime Sunday into Monday, will we start to be able to piece together what's going to happen here along the southern plains into the Great Lakes by Wednesday and Thursday of next week. So a long time before we get there. So that's something that I'll be tracking. So if you're new to the channel, by the way, thanks for coming over. If you're a new subscriber, I appreciate it. We've just bumped up by thousands over the last couple of weeks as a lot of you enjoy tracking these winter storms. So if you like that kind of content, come on back and we'll keep tracking it here. If you're brand new, I used to be a chief meteorologist on television, and now we're just doing these forecasts on YouTube. Decent snow across Ontario. And it's going to be a widespread snow here. Several inches, I think, especially in some of the heavier bands, 3, 4, 5 inches. Certainly not going to be uncommon. Some places may see just a few inches. It's not going to be a huge thump of snow in Ontario, but there could be some decent snow here downwind of the lakes as our winds spin out of the northwest. Another area to watch, I think you got to watch, is the Northeast, especially here into New England. You're going to get a little bit of moisture here coming in off the ocean. Now your system's going to be moving in, and right here where your rain snow line sets up, just to the west of that or northwest of that, there could be a decent band of snow that sets up, and it could dump several inches of snow here. The latest NAM model tries to bring that cold air in a little quicker, pushing us back over to snow into Hartford, north to Springfield, and then a lot of western Mass. Not necessarily for Boston. We may go to snow to end things, but it mostly looks like a rain event for you. And then into the mountains, some heavier snow here with this. How much snow are we talking about? Not a lot, especially along the coast, but into the mountains, there could be several inches. And will we get snow into New York City? You know, I don't know. Maybe as the polar front moves through, mostly a rain event right here sometime early Thursday morning, a few flakes possible, but your big snows are going to be north and west of town and then back here into the lake effect zones where we could see a foot or more. And we've got feet of snow on the ground already, so pretty wild to see. Two maps I want to show you. This is the first one. This is the National Digital Forecast Database. You can see the Hudson Valley clearly carved out here. Not as much snow in the lower elevations, maybe a coating or so in the official forecast from NOAA, with the higher mounts here into the mountains, up into Vermont, New Hampshire, Western Mass. But I want to show you also into the Adirondacks, quite a bit of snow up here. But I want to show you, we're zooming in on the coast here a little bit. This is the latest HRRR run, trying to push that snow line a little bit further to the south into parts of Connecticut. So maybe our first snow of the season. It's not going to be a big deal, but get up into the mountains, though. I mean, we could see 6, 8, 10 inches of snow once this thing is all said and done. Decent snow here across northwest Pennsylvania, Erie, more snow on the way for you. North on I-90, which was the parking lot with the last storm, we're going to see quite a bit of snow. But this time, we're not getting this huge band of snow that wants to almost run parallel to the lake and then come ashore. This looks more like a northwest flow event, and that would keep the snow amounts a little bit lower than what we saw with the last storm. And that snow could also extend all the way down into the mountains of Maryland, West Virginia, lighter amounts for the lowlands of West Virginia right along the Ohio River, and then lighter amounts too for the southern Appalachians heading down into Tennessee and western North Carolina. Not a lot here. All right, let's take a big picture look. I've had folks chime in and say, why don't you talk about Oklahoma, Texas, or Nebraska, South Dakota? There's people that live here. Hey, I love you guys. I get it. But there's not a lot going on, right? It's dry, quiet, not much happening. But I promise, if something's happening, I'm going to talk about it. So here you go. It's dry. It's quiet across the west. That's the story, too. Along all of the West Coast states, we've got high pressure here in the east with your trough. You've got your windy conditions. You've got your lake effect snow. And now we've got some heavier rain starting to develop on the backside of this Arctic high as it moves off to the south and east. We're going to get return flow here off the Gulf. That's going to bring moisture first into Texas, maybe even into parts of New Mexico, depending on how all this shapes up. You've got a trough here, a bit of an upper low, so your flow kind of trying to come in like this a little bit. And now as our high moves off to the east, we really start to tap into this flow off the Gulf and rain spreading north into Texas, Oklahoma. We're going to get some heavier rain also into Arkansas, and I think this will push north. It's going to bring some warm air north out ahead of our system, wherever that ends up being, and that will push warm air all the way into southern Canada with some rain here, and then a decent shot of some rain. And a lot of places are dry, so you could probably use some rain after a pretty dry fall, all the way into parts of, again, Ontario, upstate New York, where we've seen the snow. We may actually get some rain on top of that before our next blast of cold air moves in behind this. Now, this is the GFS, the 18Z run. You talk about Oklahoma. Are we looking at a snowstorm here sometime around Monday or Tuesday of next week? And does that ride northeast? I don't think so. That's the 18Z run. Check this out. The midday run, not much, right? So we're still a long way out before we time this storm out, or if there'll even be a storm. The European telling a story that's kind of similar to the GFS that ran through the midday today. Not much of a snowstorm, maybe some light snow here across parts of Kansas and Oklahoma and on the northwest side of wherever this low forms and tracks. We've got a long way to go before we narrow down what's going to be happening next Wednesday. I like to look at long-range outlooks just to get an idea of what's going on. This is where we're headed as we move toward the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th. And I think beyond that, notice how our trough starts to shift here. Well, really more like this. Now, does that shift your storm track? Does that mean you get storms going more like this and put your heavier snows in this area? One would believe that. And then as we head toward the end of the month, it looks like it's going to shift back to the east with some more ridging across the west, almost putting us in a pattern like what we're seeing now. And that might be a lot colder come the end of December and 1st of January. So if you think it's cold now, we could be in for one heck of a winter. Do I know that for sure? Nope, I don't. I'm just saying, if that came to pass and you saw a pattern like that, it's going to get cold. I don't know if that means snow, but you got to have the cold before you have the snow. All right, that's all I got. See ya.